Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. And as you guys know, nobody covers these snarky back and forth side stories like your boy Dave Neal, Power Recapper. And we've got Nick saying he thinks Teddi's manipulative, but wait, there's more. Teddi decides to fight back. So we're going to play what Teddi said. She Skyped into Nick's podcast. And let me just say, notes were being held, folks. It's a decent one. I was going to say it's a good one, but in my brain I was like, is it a good one? It's a decent one. Teddi says, you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. Well, I think we give everyone in Bachelor Nation more credit than they deserve. It's like, who cares who you voted for? You're just someone who's bumping Harrison's in a yurt. I mean, or you could only strive to do so. Pumping your Palmer in a fantasy suite, which, by the way, we'll have to see where this season's fantasy suites are. Isn't it nice to get away from the resort for once? You know, God forbid they're like, stuck in a hotel room like 7B, some suite that hasn't been updated in 5 years. Finally, they're going to get out of the country. Because let me tell you something. There's nothing better, and I've never been in a fantasy suite, but I can only imagine an international fantasy suite is better. There's something about the morals that exist around us. Once you get that passport out, once you get that stamped and you leave the country, it is like, loosen the morals, folks. What happens in Denmark stays in Denmark unless you film it on Bachelor and air it on national TV. But I digress. So let's get into it. If you guys aren't familiar with this story, and by the way, I am filming this live on the Patreon right now. If you want to watch us put together the homework behind the scenes of how we put this thumbnail together, how we found that emoji, and even, by the way, how we flipped around Nick. Nick was actually looking the other direction, but for eye lines we had. If you want to get involved in the nitty-gritty of the channel, go to patreon.com/Dave Neal, and you can watch me make these videos live and in the flesh. If you're as bored as I am and you want to do that, you can join the rest of our community in the chat room right now. All right, so this is the initial clip that Nick called Teddi manipulative. Watch the other people in the room literally have this visceral reaction to defend Teddi, and then we'll jump to her response.
I think Teddi's manipulative.
What?
Adios míos.
I'm Team Teddi.
I was too.
Where do you go?
Nick, where do you get that
I'm
from?
not
Back
saying-
up that claim.
Back it up, Nick.
I'm not saying I'm not Team Teddi.
Arms
I
looking
guess
strong and tan today.
She's literally.
All right, so then you see I threw a compliment in there. Looking good, Nick. So anyway, that happens. And then here's the updated response when people were like, come on, Nick, what do you think? Teddi sounds like a decent person, and she does.
You live in the heat of the motion,
Yeah.
in the heat of the moment, it can feel
Right.
wrong,
And,
you know?
and at the end of the day, I think you're absolutely
The
right,
end of the
Nick. I think
day.
at the end of the day, it's, are you being responsible
what it
for
is.
your own emotions and feelings?
Mhm.
Hey, I am feeling this, or it's in most cases, it's a thought, actually, not a feeling.
All right, get to it.
I thought you meant this by doing this, and I feel that way because of this, but this is what I'm going to do about it, you know?
All right, I think Teddi's coming. Teddi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's the first time we've done something like this, because usually we'll do like long form interviews and like we won't have like current cast like kind of calling for a quick chat.
I would be really honored if I didn't listen to the last podcast episode.
Well, I'll tell you what, Teddi.
I'm just going to sit here
the
and
fact-
stuck in the awkwardness. This is amazing.
I'll be honest, though, I didn't think what Nick said was that bad. He qualified it saying, I love Teddi and all these things, but he did call him manipulative, which others have commented that what he probably should have said was strategic, not manipulative. Manipulative, you err on the side of having an ulterior motive. Everyone's got a motive. They're trying to squash their Sally with the old Clayton cowboy. You know what I mean? Everyone's got a motive. But is she stacking the deck to be someone who she's not? I don't believe so.
The fact that you have and you are here with us today really, really makes me appreciate you that much more. And we are like, I don't know if you only listened to the last one. I'm sure it was like a cousin or a friend or a sister was like, you have to listen to our next one, because it's always shit like that. We're all fans of you here on this show, Teddi. Just to be clear.
So I listened to the first episode because my sister, who's happily married with 2 children, is in love with you.
Oh, well, tell her I said hi.
I'm kind of a product guy. Can we get Teddi a sponsorship for lip balm? Her lip balm is popping. How great is that?
So she listened to the first one, was like, you have to listen to it. He really likes you. So I listened to that one. Then I was like, I'm just going to end on a good note with Nick, and I'm not going to listen to any more.
That's probably smart.
What's the name of the lip balm that you have? I remember girls, you know, in high school, whatever, they would have all the different colors. They'd have like Bubblicious or watermelon or, you know, all the different flavors. What's the brand of lip balm that I'm thinking of? Someone let me know in the comments.
I got tagged in a bunch of stuff, and then I listened to the next one. So.
And so that's why we wanted to have you on. We wanted to give you the floor. And I hope you, and I hope you know this, but like, we are commenting on your character on the show. And we just recognize that it's a TV show and you have limited control, and sometimes there's music or whatever. That being
Sometimes there's music.
that being said, yes, you are aware of the fact that when it came to what you said to Clayton, I was like, I think that's being a little manipulative. Now, we preface it by saying, in relationships of all...
Lip smacker was what I was thinking of. Oh, so Miss Liz is on the same page. Miss Liz in the Patreon live stream goes, probably lip smackers. Listen, if this is too much for you and you can't focus on one thing, I always remind people, this YouTube video is live, unedited. You can go watch the whole thing. My channel is an opinionated channel. And sometimes we go down a rabbit hole talking about lip smackers. I was always jealous that men were, at least when I grew up, you weren't allowed to have we had to have unflavored chapstick. One day I bought cherry chapstick because I was like, I want my chap lips to be flavored. But the cherry chapstick put this like tint on me that gave me some like lip coloring. I felt like I was the belle of the ball. But of course, that's not what my football coach thought.
All kinds, even the healthy ones, we can sometimes be manipulative. Nally and I, my girlfriend, we joked about it this weekend. We sometimes will say things where I'm like, I know what you're trying to do. I know what you're trying to do. So it's all in jest.
It's all in jest.
But
which, look, that's what Nick is. He says things in jest. If people have asked Dave, why do you cover Nick so much? He says things that are less PC, less worried about the image of the Bachelor. He called her manipulative. That's interesting. Abby in the Patreon says, before joining the Patreon, I assume Dave watched the videos before and took note of comments, jokes he wanted to make throughout. You're very talented, Dave. Quick-witted and funny. Oh, thanks, Abby. That's so kind. Well, if a thought bubbles up like chapstick, we didn't plan to talk about lip smackers, whatever the heck it's called. But if a thought pops up, that's where my brain goes. Some people can relate to my brain type, some people can't. But anyway, I appreciate the kind words. And no, squash your Sally is not a word I've ever. Miss Liz says, squash their Sally. Really hope I never hear that phrase in real life. No, that came out just now. That's not something we're gonna write down, but we might remember that.
Well, you listened to it, and you heard my comments. So I will just give you the floor. Do you completely disagree with me? Do you see what I'm saying? And I think part of it is because I'm like, here's this woman. We see her for the first time. She's like, hey, Bachelor Nation, I'm a virgin. And just a heads up, if Clayton's down, I am down for the fantasy suite. I'm like, this person knows how to get to the finals. It seemed like she knows the assignment, and so far she's acing the test. And that was my takeaway. So now the floor is yours, Teddi.
I think you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. You said a lot in the last podcast that I am very emotionally intelligent, and I do appreciate that. But I think for me, I really wasn't trying to be manipulative at all. I truly was just insecure. Okay. I think like coming off of that first day.
That's a good quote. I truly was just insecure. I would write that down, but I feel like I threw my notepad across the room.
I did seem really confident. And I remember watching it back and being like, wow, I looked a lot more confident than I was feeling in that moment. So I can see how going from that first night and then the complete next day being like, oh, I don't think you like me. Like I can see why it looked like this must not be her, because we just saw the day before and I looked like I was like running the show. But
as I've said before, Teddi gets the first impression rose. Then Clayton's on group dates. He's got other people squashing their Sallys. You can understand how Teddi could feel like her Teddi isn't getting stuffed. That's a teddy bear joke, folks. But the point is, my boy Teddy Ruxpin. The point is, Build-A-Bear. that I've lost my train of thought there. My point is that yeah, she caught feels early on. She got that validation, and Clayton clearly could never keep up with that. He can't give her a first impression rose every week. So of course she's going to feel insecure knowing that she's not going to get that sort of validation that she got early on versus someone who didn't get any validation at all.
I really was insecure, and everything is just so compacted in that house, and like things move really quickly. So I was emotional, and I know it was really early, but I did really like him really quickly. In past relationships, I think.
Tense. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
I think
So Nick said past tense there. Past tense, because she says I did like him really quickly, but we don't know if she's still there. We'll play a couple more minutes. Again, the full video's on Nick's channel. You know, you can go watch the full
in
thing.
past relationships, I've tried to like say things way too late, and then it ended up like causing issues. And I just wanted to, in this relationship, I wanted to make it clear really early on what I needed, because I really was there to get married, and I wanted him to know early on what I needed so that I didn't like pull back and end up ruining something and then having to watch it on national television, realizing that I ruined it.
Well, that's a great quote there. She didn't want to realize she ruined it, of course. Now, if you guys are watching and not just looking at us or not just listening, you'll see a senior basset hound by the name of Boone the Basset here. I want you guys to know today is Boone's 13th birthday. He's been a good boy for 13 trips around the sun. He got the other day, he got his nails done and manicured very nicely, and he also got a little bit of a haircut. He got trimmed around his ball area. No more balls. He had those removed, right, Boone? I know what it's like. I'm getting married. And I just wanted everyone to wish him a happy birthday because he's been a good boy. So, Boone, say hello to everybody. 13 years, and he had a very tough surgery this year after needing an emergency surgery. He's recovered just fine, and he sleeps and farts all day long. So we love that dog. So let me just say goodbye to the dog, and we'll listen to our final clip here from Teddi.
Fuck yes, Teddi. That is
Wow,
exactly.
I like you, girl.
That was my thought. I used to work on the show, just so you know, and that was my thoughts to Nick. Is I said I love the clarity that you have, and there's so many people out there in life putting out so much messiness, and for something to come up in your body, and for you to say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling." And you even said too, I know you're right. Like I shouldn't let the drama outside of this, but you were very authentic and aligned with who you are.
You said to Clayton in that moment, the kind of cliche, you're like so much, you're so different than all the other guys I've dated. Now, I don't know how long you're on for. I don't know. I'm sure you got to know Clayton, but in that moment, if you could go back to that moment, that was your second conversation. What specifically did you mean about him, not a feeling that was different than other guys that you had met? Or looking back, was that just something you just might have said out of nervousness?
The relationships that I had prior to Clayton were pretty toxic, and like I get into that more as the season progresses.
All right, then we'll listen to it more as the season progresses. That's all it's going to be for this conversation. I wanted to share that clip of Teddi fighting back. And by fighting back, it's like, well, I wouldn't take it too seriously what Nick says about, this. I understand, no one wants their credit question or their sort of a character questioned that way, but I feel like most people are on the rational side of things, and she's very rational there. So that's that. Let me know what you guys think. If you want to watch this, the making of, on the Patreon, you go to patreon.com/Dave Neal. I'm going to be going right back onto Patreon as soon as this video's done. So if you are watching this and you want to watch us make the next video, we got another one coming out. A lot of content to get to today. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye now.